Hello, people of the interwebs. My name is Derek Gilmore, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Been a couple weeks. I've been going through some stuff in my personal life, but got the motivation to make videos again. Got some free time, and I'm excited to be back. As you'll see, I finally put up some stuff on my walls to make my room a little more homey and a little less prisony. And yeah, so last 2 weeks haven't had power rankings up. I did write them down, so I should have a graphic coming up right about now that'll show you where I had the teams at the end of week 3 and week 4. And yeah, let's hop right into it for post week 5 NFL power rankings. So at number 1, staying in the same place as last week, we have the Detroit Lions, who went on a bye, didn't win, didn't lose, didn't do anything, but they still hold on to the number 1 spot. Overall, they are third in total offensive yards. They're seventh in pass yards, sixth in rush yards, seventh in points. Really, the only blemish on this team right now is they're giving up a lot of passing yards, but their rush defense and the amount of points they give up are pretty low. So that's really the only way that teams are able to throw on them at all. So a little bit of a blemish, but I think when you put it into context, it's not really as bad as it looks. Going forward, we'll see if Goff can continue his positive momentum from that Monday night game when we saw him last, where he went a perfect 18 for 18. We'll see if they can get Sam Laporta involved. That would really, bring this offense to that final step. And we'll see if Aiden Hutchinson can continue to anchor this defense and continue putting up great production. Next week, they're at Dallas. They are 3-point favorites. I feel like they'll take care of business there. Dallas really struggles against the run, and that's what Detroit is really good at. So pretty easy pick there. Next at number 2, also staying in the same place, we're going to have the Baltimore Ravens. They went a close one. Very fun game to watch live on Red Zone there. They do give up a ton of pass yards against Cincinnati's offense, which is starting to click. Again, another blemish on some of these top teams, giving up a lot of pass yards. I do really have concerns, though. This isn't the first time they've gotten gashed through the air. Derrick Henry gets bottled up for most of the day, but he finally breaks through with that 51-yard run in overtime to seal the day for them. Really only possible because McPherson shanks a 53-yard field goal after a botched snap. Lamar Jackson had a really good day. He came back from a 10-point deficit 3 separate times and is really dispelling that narrative of him not being able to play from behind, at least in the regular season. Postseason is a separate entity entirely. This team is first overall in total offensive yards, 9th in passing for a team that's really trying to commit to the run, first in rush yards by a lot, and second in points. This offense is amazing, but again, giving up a lot through the air, 31st in pass yards allowed, and 26th in points. Little more concerned than I am about Detroit's defense right now. Next, they are at home versus the Washington Commanders, who are 4-1. They're getting 6.5 points, which I think with the way Washington is playing right now is a little too much, although I would probably pick Baltimore to win if I had to choose. Next at number 3, jumping up 2 spots, we're going to have the Kansas City Chiefs. Still a perfect 5-0. They win kind of a gross game at Arrowhead against New Orleans, 26-13. Their defense continues to be really solid. Holding Alvin Kamara to 26 yards and 11 attempts is really remarkable, especially with the year he's been having. They're still struggling to finish in the in the red zone offensively. Hopefully we see that clean up. 4 field goals, not ideal, even though Butker's a pretty solid kicker. Of course, there was the thick pick. Wasn't really on Mahomes. It bounces off of Smith-Schuster's hands and into the waiting arms of the probably 350-pound defensive tackle, Kalen Saunders. Very beautiful play to watch. Definitely not something you see every week. I do think, however, Mahomes is the MVP favorite right now is really not making much sense. He has as many touchdowns as picks. They are 5-0, but that's really because of their defense, not because of anything he's doing, as great as Patrick Mahomes is. And then Kareem Hunt, Juju, Kelsey were all good, and that's really frustrating because this is the team they had in 2021, basically. And the fact that they can just get this band back together and have a really good day on offense against a good defense, hopefully that doesn't spell doom for the rest of the league. I think 3 is a really solid spot for them because, yes, they are 8th in passing yards, but Otherwise, they're pretty mediocre right now, but their defense has been holding down the fort really well. And they're on a bye this upcoming week as well. Next, dropping one spot is the 4-1, 2-3 San Francisco 49ers, who choke away another football game there. This is the second game where they had, if you look at the win probability graph, it is almost 100% for San Francisco in the middle towards the end of the fourth quarter, and then it dips all the way back down right at the end. So second game they've blown. This time it's against Arizona. And these are the types of mistakes, especially in the division, these are going to add up. And if it comes down to them in Seattle at the end of the year, this really could cost them a home playoff game. I am pretty concerned about that. But as a roster, they are still pretty solid. Jordan Mason has a fumble, not ideal, but you're not going to see that every week. Also a weird game because they lose Jake Moody to, I want to say it was an ankle sprain. A lot of weird factors going into this game, but the fact that they weren't able to close it out for the second time this year is very concerning. But you look at their overall numbers, they're second in total offense, fourth in passing yards, seventh in rushing, 10th in points, and their defense has been top 10 in a lot of stats too. So I think this roster on paper, probably right now fourth best, and with the way they're playing, it just really untimely mistakes that are keeping them below 500 right now. Number 5, jumping 2 spots, I'm going to put the Houston Texans here. They are 4-1. They get another win this week. They deserve to win this game anyways, but the way in which they won is interesting. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Diggs has a revenge game. He has a nice 6 receptions for 82 yards. Good to see that for him. Losing Nico Collins, I think, is really tough. We really saw the offense struggle after this, getting only 9 more points. Initially, this hamstring looks like it's a day-to-day injury. Then you hear that it's week-to-week, and then he gets placed in IR. So that goes downhill pretty fast. Very unfortunate for this offense. They really missed him afterwards in this game, and I think they're going to continue to miss him moving forward. Joe Mixon has not come back. He is week to week. I think getting him back would be huge because they really miss him in the running game, having only the 23rd most rush yards in the league. Daria Agumbawale goes 15 for 30, very inefficient, but has some nice stats through the air. But ultimately, he gets that 5-yard rush to put them in field goal range right at the end there. Next, they are at New England and are 7-point favorites, which I would say is a lot, but this defense has been really good. 4th in total yards, 3rd in pass yards allowed, and they're going up against Drake May in his first ever career start. As a Pats fan, I don't know if you can tell by the Red Sox flag there, but I'm a Boston sports fan. I really just hope that Drake May doesn't get killed, and I hope that this Pats staff does not break him this year. You saw that in Carolina with Bryce Young. I think this is even a worse situation than that. So, not super optimistic. I think Houston should easily win this game. 7 points. I mean, if he has a lot of mistakes, they'll easily cover that. But they've been playing teams... they played... No, I think 7 points is a fair line. I think they'll win by more than 7. Final take. Next, staying in the same spot as next week, we have the other unbeaten team, the 5-0 Minnesota Vikings. They win 23-7 versus the Jets in London this week. It's kind of ironic that former Jets quarterback Sam Darnold ultimately ends up being the one who ends Robert Saleh's head coaching career, most likely. And basically ends their season. I think the Jets are in such disarray right now. There is a reason that they are not on this list. I think Saleh getting fired is definitely misguided, putting the blame on the wrong person. Although, apparently it was only an ownership decision. So, people sending hate to Aaron Rodgers, maybe don't do that so much. But anyways, back to the Vikings. They got up 17-0 early. They got 3 turnovers from Aaron Rodgers, including a pick 6 from Andrew Van Ginkel on a slant he picked off. Aaron Jones gets a hip injury and is considered week to week. This rushing offense has really struggled without him. Aaron Jones has been really good this year, even in his advanced age at 29. Darnold has struggled for the last 6 quarters, including all 4 quarters of this game. His QBR was sub 50 completion percentage. This offense I am really worried about right now. Luckily, they do have a bye next to kind of get healthy. If they can keep forcing turnovers, they're going to be fine. But, this is a very confusing team. They're 6th in points, but their yard stats are not that great offensively. They've given up the third most passing yards, but they have an elite rushing defense and they give up very few points. So this team's a bit of an enigma. I feel like 6 is a fair place for them. We'll see how long they stay undefeated, but I feel like their time to lose a game might be coming pretty soon. Next, jumping up one spot, we have another NFC North team. We got the Green Bay Packers here, 3-2. They win this week, 24-19, in a game that wasn't really as close as the score might indicate. Love throws a pick six. It's going to spot the Rams, 6 free points there. His first ever pick six. He's turning over the ball a lot, but hey, only his first ever pick six, so I guess that's something. He did recover afterwards, going 9 for 9 with a pair of touchdown passes to Tucker Kraft. He's been emerging this season as probably their second best option behind Jayden Reed in the passing game. And, you know, after investing so much a couple drafts ago, it's good to see some returns for that team. And this is how you build a team, right? You surround them with young weapons, a good offensive line, and if the QB's worth their snot, then they're going to play well. Talk about Romeo Doubs for a second. He gets suspended and misses this game for missing practices, reportedly frustrated with his role. I can't really comment on that too much, but I feel like there's potentially something else there. And, you know, just as a fan, you hope everything is okay for him. And finally, Xavier McKinney gets another pick on an absolute duck from Matthew Stafford. That thing floated in the air for, it felt like 10 seconds, and it felt like Xavier McKinney ran over from the opposite hash to catch that thing to get a pick for his 5th straight game. Next, they will host Arizona, -5 with a 61.7% chance to win. I feel like Arizona could be a little bit of a trap game. Arizona played really well last week against San Francisco, but also there could be that division effect affecting that. I don't know who is going to win this game. Don't really even have a solid prediction, but I feel like it'll be fun to watch regardless. Finally, a couple stats for this Packers team: 4th in total offensive yards, 10th in passing. That is missing Jordan Love for 2 starts as well, so they're a little bit better than that. Malik Willis was not passing when he was in there. 3rd in rushing yards, 8th in points for, giving up a little too many pass yards. See how they do going forward. Next at number 8, I'm going to commit to it. I thought about doing it last week when I was writing down these rankings, but they just missed out. I'm putting the Washington Commanders at number 8, man. I mean, this team the last couple weeks has been arguably the hottest team in the league outside of Baltimore. They win 34-13 against Cleveland, who is sputtering and goes to 1-4. Don't feel too bad about that. They made their bed and now they need to rot in it, deciding to give a sexual predator $230 million guaranteed. I do not feel bad for that team. I feel bad for some of the fans who, some of them deserve better, who called out this move for what it was, being terrible. But Cleveland goes 1-16 and they have to eat a bunch of dead cap. I'm completely fine with that. Anyways, back to the Commanders. I was a little scared after that early pick in the red zone where Jaden Daniels is just staring down a read and throws it directly to a defender. But he rebounds after that and ultimately tears apart a defense that, again, if Cleveland's offense was even okay, Cleveland's defense would probably be considered the best in the league. But their stats are suffering a little bit because they're not getting anything on offense. The thing with Washington, actually, they've been better in the rushing phase of the game. They're 2nd in rushing yards per game. They are 1st overall in points. And this is a defense that doesn't have that much talent on paper, but they're playing hard. They got 7 sacks on Deshaun Watson and held him to a QBR of 8.5. For those who may not be super familiar with QBR, it's ranked from 0 to 100. 50 is an average performance. 8.5 was what Deshaun Watson put up on Sunday against a defense that is not super talented. Shout out Frankie Louvu for those 2.5 sacks. But, you know, when your offense is playing inspired, sometimes it translates to the other side of the game. And with Washington being as hot as they are right now, 8 might even be a little low for them, honestly. We will see. If they beat Baltimore, they'll obviously rise. They are 6.5-point underdogs, which I feel like is a little long. Next at number 9, careening down these rankings, are the Buffalo Bills. They come back from 20-3, only to blow it with very questionable clock management. To me, this is a fireable offense. You have Houston, who should have no chance to get the ball back with anything more than 20 seconds. You get the ball back with 1 minute. They have all three of their timeouts. You were at your own three, which is enough room to run the ball, and you throw three straight incompletions. When going into the drive, Josh Allen was 9 for 27. There was no thought there. Even Scott Hanson on Red Zone was confused. He was like, do they know what the score of the game is? They're not losing. Of course, they go 3 and out. Houston gets the punt back. They might have even fair caught it because it wasn't like they didn't flip the field. They run the ball once for 5 yards and kick the game-winning field goal. Awful clock management. Josh Allen combining only for less than 100 passing yards in the first half of his last 2 games. Very concerned about him right now. Receivers have kind of come down to earth. This motley crew, no one's really stepping up right now. Dalton Kincaid not really getting it going. He was supposed to be their best receiver. He needs to step it up. This team is 25th in passing yards, but somehow 3rd in points, 26th in rushing yards allowed. This team's got the Jets on the road this week. This is a big litmus test. I think 2.5 point favorites, I think, is fair given what the Jets are going through. But man, if they lose that game against the Jets, who are spiraling right now, there's going to be a lot of trouble in Buffalo. Number 10, we're going to have Atlanta. They're going to join here for the first time. Gutsy win. It's a little hilarious that Kirk Cousins breaks Matt Ryan's single-game passing record on the night that Matt Ryan is enshrined into the Atlanta Falcons Hall of Fame. He beats that record by 6 yards, 509 over Matt Ryan's 503 previously. Game almost never gets to OT. They win 36-30, if I didn't already mention. Younghoe Koo is money with a 52-yarder after a delay of game, I want to say, pushes it back from 47 to 52. This team doesn't have to play defense in overtime, which with the way this game went, ultimately decides the game. I think not being forced to play defense in overtime is a travesty. I think this win is a little bit of an asterisk because Tampa was also deserving. But I mean, when you get down to the nitty-gritty, all of Atlanta's wins have been clutched out. Which is honestly pretty unique for the team we're talking about here. The passing stats here are jaw-dropping. I mean, Drake London goes 12 for 154 and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney, I almost said Darnell Money. Darnell Mooney goes 9 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. And even Kyle Pitts gets involved with 7 for 88. But they still really can't get Bijan going, which is concerning. They're only 26th in rushing yards with, at least in my mind, probably the second best, maybe third best running back in the league on paper. They got to figure something out there, but this passing game, I mean, yeah, of course the stats are inflated by this one, but they're up to 6 total, 10th in total offensive yards. Atlanta's been doing pretty well the last couple weeks. They deserve a spot here. My only worry is if the division ultimately comes down to Atlanta and Tampa Bay with the same amount of wins, and Atlanta wins the next time they play. I mean, the difference of having a home game versus going on the road in the playoffs is big, and I really think Tampa Bay might be upset with the way that this one went. They really might feel that this one slipped away when it's all said and done. Speak of the devil, our honorable mention this week is going to be Tampa Bay. So, I mean, not a lot new to say here. They also put up some amazing offensive stats, just not as much as Atlanta. They were really in control for most of this game, but they just couldn't close it out in the fourth. They fumble it away, and then they have a 3 and out. You see the running game is not playing great. Rachaad White keeps getting about like one nice run a game that's keeping this a 50-50 split, but Bucky Irving is the better back to anybody with eyes. It's really obvious. This team is struggling, giving up so many passing yards on defense. Really the opposite of what this team has been in the past. They're 9th in total points, so they're an above-average offense with a below-average defense. Last couple of years, it's been the opposite. I think hopefully you can see some improvements on the defensive side of the ball. I remember bringing this concern up about like 2-3 weeks ago when they beat the Lions, but gave up almost 500 total yards. You can't win games. You can't win games reliably in this league if you're giving up 500 yards a game. So they'll drop. I mean, with it being a close loss, I didn't want to drop them off the list entirely, so they'll end up with the honorable mention this week. And that sums up pretty much everything I got to say on our top 10 teams this week. Very interesting slate of football. We got Seattle, San Francisco coming up on Thursday. Should be a great game. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, tell me where I'm right, tell me where I'm wrong, and I will see you in the next one.